¿Qué pasa YouTube? 6fthax here. Happy for you guys today an OU Wi-Fi battle against GreenScrafty, a longtime subscriber of mine. Of course, if you guys would like a chance to battle me, feel free to follow me on Twitter. Also, my Discord is down in the description for you guys to go check it out. Come hang out, say hello, say what's up. Do what you want. So, of course, if you guys do enjoy the video, make sure to hammer that like button down below to answer the question of the day. Now, this was a very interesting battle because this match ended up being a lot closer and a lot better than I was honestly expecting. So, going into this match, I really didn't have a good lead matchup. Like, if he led off with Donphan and I led off with Tapu Koko, I would be immediately forced out so he could just get up Stealth Rocks. If he led with the Muck, I could be potentially pursued, or I would be forced to switch out with U-turn. Luckily though, he led with the Charizard, which means I can safely go for U-turn, very confident in the fact that he's either going to switch into Donphan, predicting my Volt Switch or Thunderbolt, or try to bring in his Florges. As he does end up bringing in the Donphan, I can now safely bring in my Starmie, which is a defensive Starmie, so while I may not be able to knock him out with the Scald, I should still be able to 2 KO him and potentially get a burn, as he's going to make a very aggressive switch directly into his Muck, and I do get a little bit lucky here as I get the burn. Now, if I didn't get the burn, I definitely would have stayed in again to go for the Scald again, predicting him to Pursuit, but because I did burn him, I feel a lot more comfortable in switching out here, as he does end up going for the Pursuit, doing just about 50% to me because this is a max HP, max speed Starmie, as he ends up getting the Poison Touch, which honestly doesn't matter just because I do have Natural Cure. As I get a free switch into my Scizor, I'm expecting him to maybe want to switch out into his Donphan, so what I'm going to do here is just Mega Evolve and go for the U-turn. There's really no reason for me to Bullet Punch or go for the Swords Dance this early on in the match because I could potentially definitely sweep with my Mega Scizor later in this match. So he ends up leaving in his Muck here, which means he most likely is just going to go for the knockoff again, so I do end up bringing my Landers because honestly my Landers is really the best option on my team to switch into a knockoff besides my Scizor, and I just U-turned out with Scizor. So he does get the Rocky Helmet damage and the burn damage. As he gets rid of my Rocky Helmet, I'm going to take this opportunity to go ahead and get on my Stealth Rocks, which I know may seem a little bit odd because he's got the Donphan. What I want to do here is not allow him to get a direct free switch into Charizard, because I still don't know if it's Charizard X or Y, and if it's X and a Dragon Dances, it could very well sweep through my entire team because this team doesn't have a Scarfer, and even if I did have a Scarfer, unless it was my Tapu Koko, none of my other Pokemon being Scarf would be able to outspeed it. Well, I guess Starmie, but Scarf Starmie is not a thing, and even then I wouldn't be able to knock him out. So he's gonna Shadow Sneak me just to get off a little bit of extra chip damage on my Landorus after getting the Poison Touch again, which I'm perfectly fine with just because I did burn him with the Scald, so him getting the poison was perfectly justified, as I can bring him my big black shiny Kyurem. Oh man, I love the green on shiny Kyurem, man. I think it looks really dope. As he ends up switching into his Florges, this is exactly what I wanted. I wanted to force in the Florges because I am adamant choice banded Kyurem black, and I'm able to straight OHKO that Florges. Also, by bringing in Kyurem Black, I was very positive he wouldn't risk me being Scarfed. Thus, Florges was definitely his best switch-in. Now, the downside to this play is that he can just bring in Donphan and go for the Rapid Spin. So, predicting him to go for the spin, I'm going to try to switch into my Hoopa. Now, this isn't the same Hoopa from the previous match. This Hoopa is actually Choice Specs. And with him losing his Muck and his Florges, Hoopa can potentially put in a lot of work. So, I'm going to go straight for the Dark Pulse thinking I would be able to OHKO him. But no, he had to literally have lived on like 1 HP because you can barely see that number, as he then gets up his Stealth Rocks, which are going to be very annoying in this match, as he's gonna go for the Ice Shard just to get off a little bit of extra damage on me. I am gonna be able to knock him out with the second Dark Pulse. Now, if I was Modest Specs, that Donphan would have just been put down, but no, I am actually Timid Specs, as in comes the Charizard, which if it is Charizard X, I cannot allow this to Dragon Dance. Thankfully though, he turns out to be Charizard Y, which means there is a 99% chance that he doesn't have the Dragon Dance. So this thing has become a little bit easier for me to deal with just because my Starmie and my Tapu Koko both outspeed it. Plus, I have Thunder Wave on Starmie, so if I'm able to paralyze this Charizard, I'll be able to outspeed it with my Landorus and with my my Kyurem Black, as he unfortunately misses the Fire Blast there. I don't really think that miss plays a role, so me getting off that damage with Dark Pulse doesn't play a role either, and you guys will see what I mean. As I bring in Tapu Koko, I thought that the Thunderbolt was way too obvious, so I expected him to try and switch into either his Raichu or into his Tapu Bulu, but he ends up staying in as I'm forced to sack something, and the least helpful team member to me at this point in the match is going to be my Starmie, just because Raichu knocks me out with Thunderbolt, and of course he's got Tapu Bulu in the back, which unless I burn it, then there's nothing my Starmie can do to it. So after knocking me out, I can get a free switch back into my Tapu Koko, and I was so close to going for the U-turn again. Luckily though I don't, and I go straight for the Thunderbolt. Now in electric terrain with the magnet, Thunderbolt's minimum damage is like 127%, so getting off that damage with Hoopa as he missed Fire Blast, like I said, doesn't really matter, as he ends up bringing in the Raichu. Now because of Alolan Raichu's ability, he's actually faster than my Tapu Koko in electric terrain, and this has become a huge problem because now he's at +1 special attack with his speed doubled. So at this point, my best option to still maybe win this match is to try and stall out the turns of electric terrain and hope that either my Kyurem Black or my Scizor can live a +1 Thunderbolt outside of the electric terrain, which Kyurem Black can live, but not live a Thunderbolt plus Psychic after Rocks. So I need to hope that Kyurem Black doesn't take damage, or that Scizor can live a +1 Thunderbolt, and in return I can knock him out with a U-turn, or maybe try and set up to potentially still win this match. As he goes for the Hydro Vortex on my Landers, I'm going to get cleanly destroyed, and this allows me to get a switch into my Scizor, and by bringing in Scizor, I can bait him to go straight for the Thunderbolt instead of wanting to try and go for another Calm Mind, thinking that maybe I would want to try and stay in and go for a Bullet Punch, as he can live another one as well. Or going for the Thunderbolt right away was definitely his better play either way, because in electric terrain at +1, he definitely knocks me out. So I do predict him to Thunderbolt, allow me to bring in Kyurem Black. Unfortunately, I get critted, but that crit honestly doesn't matter because after Rocks and Thunderbolt, I would have been in range of where Psychic would have definitely knocked me out unless he had got like absolute minimum damage. So I don't really think that crit ends up playing a role at all, as unfortunately my big black Kyurem gets put down. I can now bring in Scizor, and I ran the calc real quickly. Unless he's like modest, then there's no way that this +1 Thunderbolt should be able to knock me out. What I can do is go for the Swords Dance, and at +2, I'll definitely knock him out at the range of HP that he's at, and also I can knock out the Tapu Bulu at max HP. Now, if I hadn't gone for the Swords Dance, depending on his Tapu Bulu set, he might have actually still been able to win the match, because Bullet Punch only did about 50%, and that is if he wasn't Assault Vested, which if he was Assault Vested, then I don't think Bullet Punch would have put him in range of where my Tapu Koko could have revenge killed him. So I basically had to go for the Swords Dance there and hope that he didn't crit me, or that he didn't turn out to be modest, as I'm able to knock out the Raichu, then knock out the Tapu Bulu. That is going to be the narrow to a victory in my favor. Like I said, this match was definitely a lot better than I was expecting, and I knew that Raichu could have been a problem. I actually forgot about the fact that its ability doubled its speed in the electric terrain, so luckily I was able to play around that and still pull out the victory. Hopefully you guys did enjoy the match. Make sure to hammer that like button down below to answer the question of the day, guys. With that being said, I will see you all tomorrow on Monday, and then Tuesday with another Wi-Fi battle. So later, everybody.
Cause my brain and heart are both tied in a knot, and this hinders me from crying a lot. This causing me to show no emotion, but when I said I cared, I wasn't joking. But I guess it's too late for me to become broken. For now, I'm living with no more pain, tears, or hoping. I'm just coasting. Yeah, I said I'm coasting. No more pain, tears, and hoping. For real.